My family was torn apart by my mother's affair. Seeking advice, I guess. Hey all. I'm not exactly sure where to begin with this post. I am a 21 years old male, and I grew up in what I considered to be a happy, loving family with no signs of unrest or unhappiness. But in August of 2020, my mom 50F was caught in an affair with her high school boyfriend by my dad 54M. 2 weeks later, he decided on a divorce. On August 18th, they told my little sister about the divorce on the drive to her first year at college, and I learned a few hours later at home. 2 days later, I left for my second year of college. The whole experience was extremely traumatic, as I only had a couple of days to process everything before I left my childhood home of 17 years for the final time. They sold the house at the end of September and I will likely never go back. My sister still hasn't spoken to my mom since August 19, 2020. In the following months after the divorce, my dad moved to the town I live in for college and I moved in with him. This might seem strange to some, but my dad and I have always been extremely close and it felt like the obvious choice for both of our needs. I am incredibly thankful that this worked out the way it did. Today, he has recovered incredibly and seems content with life. My dad and I are closer than ever before and I have no doubt that we'll remain so. We ski bike together a few times a week. In the meantime, I've struggled tremendously to somehow repair my relationship with my mother. For the first couple of months, I would call her only to discuss the affair, and I would yell and ask extremely difficult questions to her about why she tore our lives apart and, especially, what did you think was going to happen? But my mom is a quiet and reserved person, and also has a strong tendency to paint herself as the victim in any confrontation, which has been incredibly stressful for me back then and now. She has a knack for saying it doesn't matter, it already happened in response to any of my attempts at closure, or just honest communication between us. I'll talk about my sister and how she's still hurting from all this, and my mom will respond with things like, "Oh, so it's all my fault then, isn't it? I guess I should just go away forever since nobody cares about me." Obviously, you can't really understand and heal from an affair and divorce when the person you need to heal with responds in this way. I'm always pulling all the weight and doing all the talking in these conversations and she just goes along with it. I still don't really even know why she chose to cheat on my dad, and all of our friends and extended family were shocked and devastated by the news of my family's separation, as my parents never fought, never had any issues really, and seemed like an idyllic family to those inside and out. I only mention this to emphasize how blindsided we all were by this happening. I still call my mom once or twice a week, and we mostly make small talk about anything but the terrible things that happened to us. During this time, I was also attending therapy through my school, and I learned quite a bit about myself, including that I am on the autism spectrum. I also learned mindfulness techniques and I improved at not needing the why behind the actions of my mother. In some ways, my relationship with my mother improved because of this. At the least, my own mental health and ability to cope with my trauma and newly discovered ASD improved significantly. I stopped attending therapy when I graduated in June of 2021. In May of 2021, my mom called to tell me that she had chosen to give away my 2 childhood dogs to another family that none of us had ever met. Of course, this was a devastating blow to my already incredibly strained relationship with my mom. In theory, I could have taken them and brought them here. My family lived in Texas, but I now live in Colorado, but it would have dramatically impacted the lifestyle that I've worked hard to achieve. I felt, and still feel, that since she was the one who tore apart the dogs' home in the first place, she should bear the burden of caring for them. She would never admit it to me, but the reason she gave them away was that she had moved to a nice apartment in an upscale area of the city, and was unwilling to move to a place with a backyard even though she could afford it. Her apartment environment, naturally, was very stressful for our dogs because they are fairly high maintenance, and had lived their whole lives prior with direct access to a backyard. I went to see them at their new home once last summer, and it was incredibly traumatic for me. Although I was happy to see them, I was mortified by seeing them displaced from where I feel that they belong. The reason I'm writing this now is that although my relationship with my mom has marginally improved over the past year and a half, I still feel like I haven't really processed the trauma I went through, and my mother seems content with running from the difficult conversations we'd certainly need to have to really heal our relationship. When I bring up uncomfortable truths or ask her difficult questions, she frames everything as if she is the victim of some great injustice, or gaslights me about the events that took place, what responsibility she bears in them, or how valid my feelings are towards her. I still love my mom, and I'd like to have a healthy relationship with her again, but she doesn't seem to understand that I can't simply bury all of these feelings and pretend to trust her and respect her again. She ruined everything that I cared about the most. And once everything was damaged beyond repair, she took the one thing that was still innocent and untainted by the affair, my childhood pets, and ruined that too. I'm overwhelmed with grief from the loss of my family, the mother I knew, the dogs, my house, my old life, and more. I have nightmares about being betrayed by people I love. I go down long mental paths of rumination and exhaust myself trying to figure out why she did this to us, because I can't accept that she's a bad person. I'm ashamed to admit this one, but I also constantly wrestle with feelings of hatred toward women, and I'm afraid that between the family trauma and my Asperger's, I won't ever have a healthy romantic relationship, or a family of my own. In summary, despite the therapy and consistent communication with my mom, I still don't feel like I've healed from all of this, and the openness and trust that I need from my mother seems impossible to receive. I am never sure if maintaining my relationship with my mom is really worth it. What do you guys think? Am I justified in feeling so angry and conflicted? If you were me, would you have ever even given your mother a chance? What strategies would you use to develop a new, healthy relationship with your parent? I do love her, and I want to be close to her again somehow, but sometimes I think that that's an unrealistic goal. I'd really appreciate any feedback or insights that you might have. Even if you don't have any insights for me, I've in a way enjoyed venting my thoughts about this through my keyboard, so thanks for reading at the very least. Redditor's reactions, story 2 after. Redditor 1, I think you are wasting time with your mother. If you didn't contact her, would she reach out to you? You realize your mother is the source of your hatred toward women, right? Combined with everything else. Your mother is a severely mentally broken person. She lacks an ability to empathize with her actions. The complete lack of touch with giving away your dogs proves that. Your mother is a narcissist. Your father is better that she's no longer in her life. Your sister is too. And one day when you recognize that nothing you do matters, you will too. Your mother will die alone. Her AP will one day abandon her the same way those relationships always fail. And she'll still think she's the victim. She is an abusive parent. Your father likely shielded you from much of the abuse you never recognized. Seek out some topics on abusive parents. Look at the subreddits dedicated to abusive parents. You need to reconcile that you no longer recognize this woman. Op answer, if I didn't contact her, I imagine she would text me but never call me. I definitely wouldn't consider her an abusive parent. Despite what's happened, she was always a good mom to me. I don't think she's a bad person, just terribly misguided and, like you said, broken. She's wrapped herself in so many defense mechanisms to cope with what she did to us. I don't think she's a narcissist. In fact, her self-esteem is so dramatically low that I'd say the opposite. Selfish in her actions, yes, but not a narcissist personality. I suspect that, like me, you've been betrayed by someone you love. But even then, things aren't so black and white. Love is complicated. Thanks for the response, I really do appreciate it. Redditor 2, it's tough because you don't seem to have accepted that your mother doesn't want to fix any problems, she just wants them to go away, so anything you might want to help in healing, isn't there things like honesty or actual remorse? Answer, your mother doesn't want to fix any problems, she just wants them to go away. Wow, you put this rather succinctly and I think you're exactly right. The thing is, I'm not sure how to heal in spite of this reality. Maybe you don't, and you just keep going on with life with a hole in your heart forever. Which would suck, but I'd survive. I really appreciate this response, thanks. Redditor 3, I would make it clear until she seeks therapy you will only communicate by email. She needs to take accountability for her actions. Instead she minimized them, and ran away from it. Answer, thanks for the response. She's in therapy now, although it's EMDR, which I'm a bit skeptical of. I also suspect that she might lie to her therapist about some things, or maybe just lie by omission. I doubt she ever brings up these conversations with her therapist, and she says her therapist refuses to take group counseling sessions when I ask about them. Not sure how true that is. Story 2, D-Day, last night, possible end to 17 years, long story inside. I don't know what to feel right now. Numb, I guess. I'm looking for advice and mainly just ranting at this point just to get it out. She F35 cheated on me. M35, met freshman year in college, dated for 6 years, married for 11 years, have a soon-to-be 4-year kid. Rant time, it's a long one. So we had a passive-aggressive fight the morning of. Basically I said that it's so cold in our room that I'm trying to stay in the same spot in bed. Mind you, I just woke up a few minutes prior. We really like sleeping in a cold room, being under heavy blankets, even in the summer. She said that rather than staying in that spot, I could have asked her to move over so that she could hold on to me. She then gets out of bed and I'm instantly transported to the doghouse. Great. I then get a phone call from my mother. She takes care of our kid, saying that she is unable to do so today. Luckily, my job allows me to work from home, respond to emails, calls via the work cell phone. I had a few meetings but I went ahead and rescheduled. Since I still have 3 weeks of take it or leave it vacation time, I decided that I was not going to work from home but instead watch some TV while playing with my kid. Eventually, we go out for lunch and then spend about an hour or two in Target's toy department. The kid has tons of toys already, but I love looking at the way the kid instantly figures out which buttons to press, or when I ask who a particular cartoon character is and getting it right. She calls my office phone, I silence it. BTW, we work for the same company. She calls again from her cell, I silence again. Repeats 5 more times, and this is all within 45 minutes. She sends a text acknowledging that I'm mad, that she didn't leave things nicely that morning and that we need to talk. I agreed that we do, but not over the phone. Fast forward to after work. She walks in and gets the daily loving greeting from the kid. We get the kid situated so that we can talk things out. We have hit little snags here and there, which marriage hasn't, and I was expecting the same arguments, mainly that I do not show the amount of affection that she wants. We had a similar talk that included the D word about 2 months ago, and it was agreed by both that we would try harder to bring us back together. I was dropping the ball here, and I did improve and show more affection since then. Well, in the course of this argument, she mentions that why I have not brought up the question she knows I'm holding back. In my mind starts running, what question is she referring to? I never had any doubts or questions as to her activities when we are not together. She is extremely active in gym and running think marathons, and I am a cyclist 60-70 miles if not 100 on the weekends. Well, the thought of infidelity never crossed my mind, as we both said that we would bring up separation before that would ever happen. I asked if she was seeing someone. It was just one time a long time ago. Eventually found out that long ago was this past April. More back and forth trivial stuff. Then I said that I don't want to know but have to know. How far did that one time go? Deflections and no responses, mind goes racing again. Eventually it comes out, D-Day. Numbness, can't stay, can't talk, so I get up and go into the kids' room, close the door and play with the kid. Eventually she comes in as we start talking again, age appropriate, and looks like a normal conversation, and kid is playing and asking kid questions. It gives me time to process the adult conversations. It's now dinner time, so she makes the kids something and I go out and throw a steak that I was saving on the grill. I always cook it slow and babysit it because I have ruined many steaks over the years due to flare-ups, and it gives me much needed time by myself. Eventually I come in and start eating, and it's the kids' bath time. She gets the kid in the bath and we start talking again. More numbness, we both are very emotional, but for the most part, my emotions are still inside. She finished up the kids' bath and continues bedtime routine. I watch TV and eventually she joins on the couch. End of episode, and I go for my shower. We cross paths multiple times, and on the last time, I grab the marriage license that we have framed on the wall and drop it at her feet and walk away to the bedroom and get in bed. She eventually comes in and we go back and forth again. Keep in mind, we are not doing an angry yelling style of arguments, it's very civil. While I'm lying in bed, she is sitting on the floor next to me in the dark. I'm still numb. I do mention that I want to start separating our finances. We have our own checking accounts, but she gives me almost all her money as I pay all the bills but her one credit card. We are both authorized users on almost all of our active cards. We even have my mother on her one credit card for the rewards. Each card is paid in full at the end of the month, and we put everything on the cards for the rewards. I can tell that she is fully remorseful and find out that her therapist and best friend know what happened. I'm not a fan of what little I hear from this therapist, but the best friend is on my side from what she says. Eventually we call it a night and she goes to sleep in the kids' room. We have a twin bed in there and the kid sleeps in a kid bed. I start browsing Reddit for an hour before I start to pass out. So now on to today. She gets into her spot on the floor next to me since I have not gotten out of bed and already reading most of the post in our surviving infidelity, so I'm starting to feel less numb and more hurt and some anger. She asks if I still planning on going to a kid event we planned on weeks ago. I decline and say that I can't. We also planned on going to see a movie tonight, pre-purchased tickets, and said that she should check to see if her best friend could go with her. She has been wanting to see this movie since she first saw the previews for it, and it just started playing yesterday, Last Christmas, a romantic comedy. Don't know if I could handle that. She can start seeing the emotions are starting to come out as I shed a tear, and she has been crying at each of our talks. She come up and lays her head on my chests and I was able to take it for about 20 seconds before I rolled over to the opposite side and just let it all out, to the point where breathing was difficult. She gets up to get the kid ready for the event and she's going to give me my time alone today. So here I am looking into getting counseling provided free by our employee assistance program. She is a great mother to our kid and she says that I am a great father. We want to give the kid what we did not have growing up. I'm an only child in a low-income single-parent home. She came from a very large and really abusive single-parent family, the type you see on the nightly news and courtrooms. We do not have contact with them but only a few brothers and sisters that suffered the same abuse. I have two choices, divorce or reconcile. We both want what's best for the kid and have always wanted him to have a dual-parent family. Is it possible to make it work again knowing what she did and for how long she kept it hidden? She thought I knew but I never would have suspected her doing this. Thank you for sticking around and please forgive my messy writing and thought process. I don't have that one close friend like she does to look for guidance, so I hope that I can find some in this community, so feel free to ask me questions and I'll do my best to answer. Edit 1 D-Day plus 2 days, just want to say thank you to everyone who has commented. I tried to reply to each one of you and answer your questions and comments. While it still hurts, I do feel like I'm no longer full of raw emotions most of the day. However, I now feel like I'm living the lie to family, friends, co-workers. I can't wait for therapy to start. Redditor's reactions, story 3 after. Redditor 1, who was her affair partner? How long was their emotional affair before it went physical? Why did she think that you knew? You can't forgive what you don't know. Did she blame you in any way for her affair? Has she had any contact with the affair partner since then? When was their last contact? Answer, I meant to say that in the story, it was a fellow gym member. I did not ask how long it went from emotional to physical, but she ended it once it got there and no longer has contact. Not sure why she thought I knew, I've always trusted her. We have a family phone GPS tracking that we use for each other as well as my mom since she drives the kid to the park and stores. We do not see it as spying. She did blame that I was not as loving as she would like, mainly S-time, but I was also going through a S-timual medical condition that was fixed with surgery over the summer. Redditor 2, we both want what's best for the kid and have always wanted him to have a dual-parent family. Her actions says something else. Redditor 3, it sounds as if she had a sexual affair while you were going through a medical condition. If that's true, it has to really hurt. Only a heartless, sexually greedy person could do such a thing. I don't know what to say, other than I wish you the best. Keep us posted. Answer, it does hurt. I am now cured, but S-time was off the table while I recovered. Let me just say this, adult circumcision is not a pleasant experience. 110 would not try again. Story 3, Love and Trust. Pleasing the AP. In the heat of the moment, the WW did few intimate acts with the AP, which WW always thought as degrading to do it with the BS. Even the AP felt the acts were out of character for the WW and asked for consent a few times. The WW not only gave consent, but participated very enthusiastically, trying to please the AP. Now that the BS knows about the acts, and always wanted to try with the WW feels it's obligatory to perform them for the BS for reconciliation. The BS feels that the WW does not trust them as much as the AP, and refuses any kind of intimacy from the WW. How do we overcome such situation? Edit 1, financially we are settled, And money is not an issue for both WW and BS. WW works in an industry where they are more socially active compared to BS. WW did things with AP which was much more that BS asked for. WW feels that they respected our marriage, the BS, so much that doing certain things in the bedroom would be completely wrong and BS would judge the WW. WW chose AP to do it, as they want to experiment with someone they trusted completely, hence BS feels that they are not trusted enough by the WW. WW were not involved otherwise. AP was feeling guilty from the day the WW started having SQL talks with them 2 months prior and always conveyed it to WW, but WW pursued anyway. Every time after the act, AP would tell WW to stop. WW would cross the previous boundary to keep him interested. When WW's acts started getting too far for AP to accept, he would remind the WW that this is not out of character for WW. During the last interaction, WW wanted to do something that could completely ruin everyone's life, if caught. That's when AP pulled the plug and asked her to confess. Once the acts were over, they would just be friends as normal. No communication about anything else. Normal texts, normal lives. AP and WW both confessed separately. WW was scared of getting judged and its effects out of bedroom. AP got divorced last year. In order to support AP through, we used to invite him to hang out with us regularly as we were close friends from college. Before the affair, WW introduced AP with many of their friends. We trusted the AP as a part of our family. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, well, overcome the love-trust issue where the BS has none for the WW. Only way to reconcile if BS wants it and WW is willing to do much if not all of the work. Look up what the WW has to do. BS betrayed trust and love may never come back. It is bad enough there was SX, but the WW did things with the AP they would not do with the BS. To me, that shows a lot more emotional love in this, eh? If it was all about just SX, then horrible enough, but to this degree. I suspect the WW really had feelings for the AP. My thought process to my wife: honey, I really love this band, I want to see them really bad. Nka, they are too loud, I do not like their music. But it would mean so much to me. Nah, no way, I'm not going to bad. AP asked same question and WW says, oh God, yes, I know this means so much to you, I would love to go to make you happy. Get it? It is about love, commitment and doing things for the people we love that we may not like. I personally hope BS walks on this one. Redditor 2, from my readings the WW is reminded of the AP when asked to do these acts. Ashamed, etc. There is no overcoming it. Got all. BS gets whatever. Thus one of the reason reconciling is useless. Emo. Redditor follow-up, BS gets whatever is left over. You are right, reconciling is never going to happen. Redditor 3, mate, it's complicated. First the fact are that she wasn't willing to do them with you before. And now that she betrayed you, you can't trust her if she says she wants to do them to please you. And if she does them it will seem like manipulation. Sadly they are no good answer to this problem. You can't know if her actions are genuine or not because you can't trust her. And that's the thing with reconciliation, people don't know that some stuff are gone forever like trust etc. Redditor follow-up, plus if WW tries to do the essage she did with AP, that whiner trigger for BS. He will just think, was AP better at this than me? Honestly, I don't know why BS would want to reconcile my